This is Raspberry Lemonade, the Arnold Palmer of podcasts, a refreshing dive into the stories of industry professionals, both sweet and sour. And now your host, Mr. Levi.
Welcome back to another episode of Raspberry Lemonade. We have an amazing guest with us today, Andy. Care to introduce yourself to the crowd?
Sure. I'm Hinostroza, real estate investor, here to have a nice discussion with my man Levi.
All right. Bro, I've been excited for this. Basically, believe it or not, I've been wanting to interview you basically since the moment I met you. Ever since the moment I met you, you just came off like as a very sincere, very chill dude. And at least when it comes to business, in my experience, people usually put on like some sort of front or facade, like they want to come off a certain way. And I didn't get that from me. So I really appreciate that, man. That's just me speaking from my heart.
Thank you, man. I mean, try to keep it real, just be who you are, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everything outside of that is just exhausting.
Exactly. Too much work, bro.
Yeah. So let's get into it, man. Tell us a little bit about your background in business.
Sure.
Because, when I was doing a little bit of my research, I noticed that you put, I think, something like co-founder of Joybird, was it?
That's right. Yeah, so right now I'm full-time real estate investor. But previously, in my previous life, I was a co-founder of a startup called Joybird. We did custom mid-century furniture, e-commerce, so direct-to-consumer model. And we grinded that baby for about 4 or 5 years before we exited through an acquisition. I stayed on with the company for a couple of years. And then that was 2020 when I said my goodbye, right before COVID, actually. Kind of sucked that I never got a chance to go to the office to say goodbye because, just during the whole timing of things, we were forced to work from home. But yeah, and then I took some time off just to catch up because, to be honest, it's been a grind. We're working 12, 13, 14 hours in a startup. It's needed, right?
Yeah.
So that ultimately led me to just taking some time off to catch up, family time, like a year and a half off before I jumped into real estate.
That's amazing. I don't know how you feel. Like, you seem like a very, modest guy. I don't think people realize, like, you're saying it so simply, but it's actually a pretty big deal what you did. At least, looking from the outside in, when I saw that you were a co-founder of Joybird, I was like, what? I was like, oh my God. Like, I've seen that brand around for like constantly,
Yeah.
And would you mind like getting into a little bit of like, because you exited, right? Like,
yeah.
What did that look like?
Sure,
what was that
sure.
number?
I mean, like I'll kind of share a little bit of story there, but we launched, like we opened doors digitally, right? Online through our website in 2014. I remember we had I think our goal was let's do $500,000 this year or something like that, right? And we ended up doing like $4 million, bro.
Oh my God.
On the first year, if I remember right. Yeah, $4 million. It's been a while, bro.
That's crazy.
So
yeah, it's been like 10 years.
It's been a good while, man. And then, I think we were like those early, pre-launching kind of goals you set. I think it was 500,000, and I think it was like 2 million. The next year, can we 4x it, whatever. We ended up doing like $16 million in our second year, 32 in our third, and then in our fourth year, we were at $55 million run rate. So this is all like sales, right?
Yeah.
This is just revenue. Profitability is a whole other animal. So we didn't raise capital from venture capitalists or anything like that. We ended up raising money from mom, dad, brother, uncle, sisters, any family member or friend who would even
give you the time of day.
Give us the time of day and take a chance, right?
Yeah.
I think we raised a total of like $300,000.
Wow.
Of which $100,000 came from my parents, but it was basically all the retirement money they had.
Yeah.
So when I asked them, like, hey mom and dad, we have this idea that we kind of feel good about because we're working in a company now, so we know what it could do and we want to do it ourselves. this guy is he's not a good guy, and there's an opportunity in the market, and we want to jump into it. They listened to our spiel, right, our pitch, and then my parents were basically like, Andres, we believe in you, and you know, we're good lending you basically our retirement money. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I couldn't believe it, bro. I was just like, man, that's heavy, you know.
It's very
Yeah, but I was super grateful for them because it was, you know, it was much needed to start the business, right?
Absolutely, dude. That's insane. There, like,
Yeah.
it almost makes me feel like, oh, I was, you know, I wasn't really shooting for the moon when I first started my business, but hey, it's all about. I think in your case, you had a proof of concept already too.
Exactly.
It's not like you just came out of the like, yeah, I have this idea.
Right.
Like, give me all your money, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And the four of us came together because we worked at a previous company, like I said, proof of concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this company had, they were primarily doing like office furniture, and they actually brought in one of my best friends, Alex Totoro, and I was working at another company doing like digital marketing for them. I remember I was making like, I think 75K or something like that
Okay.
at the time. And Alex calls me out of the blue, and he's just like, yo, Dre. That's what he calls me, right? Yo, Dre, I'm working at this, you know, company that, you know, they're doing furniture, and we're about to launch this like home furnishings brand. You know, I need help, bro. You know, you want to work together again? We've always been working together, like in previous businesses, so we had a relationship,
well.
and we work well, right? So I'm like, how much you paying, bro? You know, I'm making like 75 here, I think the number was. He goes, man, I could only afford 50, you know, and I'm just like, oh, it's a pretty good cut, right? But like, you have these moments in your life where there's like this gut feeling, this intuition, right? And I remember like feeling it, right, hearing that voice inside of me, and I'm like, no, I need to do this. I need to make this jump, right? Even if it means taking a $25 pay cut. Yeah. So I ended up joining him, and then I supported the business on the marketing side. So building out the marketing campaigns necessary to, and all primarily focused on performance marketing, which is mainly like, you know, Google ads, you know, these specific channels that really drive the sale. We're not doing much branding, right? In the beginning, you want to focus on the things that convert high. So
a friend of mine says, concentrate on bank first and brand later.
Exactly, bro. So that's what we did, and we started seeing this traction. This brand, like, there's demand, there's sales. We're also, you know, really engaged with the consumer, getting that feedback, constant feedback from them, and they're telling us, hey, we want more options. We want, you know, customization, and we're passing that on to, you know, the owner. But the owner, he felt like he wanted to do things his way. So one of those guys who was just like, it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
At the same time, very much mistreated people, talked down to like Latinos, and rubbed me off really wrong, right? I'm like, this is not like a guy I want to work for a long time. But I'm actually thankful he was this way. Had he been an amazing owner, really caring, amazing culture, I don't know if I'd be here sharing this story, but he wasn't. So that ultimately led us to having these conversations where we're like, hey, what if we do this ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And in the beginning, it was just Alex and I kind of just having this conversation. I remember going out to LA and looking at different factories, seeing like, where can we build this stuff? Like, we don't know furniture, bro, you know? We're marketing guys, we're brand guys, website, like we're digital guys. We're not like furniture guys.
Hands-on.
Yeah. You know, we don't know this part of the business. So we ended up in just linking up with the person in charge of doing the furniture. You know, his name's Josh. And one other, you know, partner, and Chris. Chris was, you know, good in operations, the tech guy, a lot of the back end stuff. We had the conversation, and we ultimately get a buy-in. We're all in, right? And that's when we started like putting together like the business plan that we took to mom and dad and raise capital, right? So we got the funds. You know, obviously we had left, and we ended up getting these funds and getting a little factory in Mexico. And the reason we chose TJ was because Josh had worked in TJ before. So he already knew like, hey, there's this workforce here that we could tap into. We just got to deal with customs and all that. But he had some experience in that, and the cost is way less. And,
right.
You know,
cost of production.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, we got a small little factory, and we're like, all right, this should be enough, right? And, you know, we launched, And the beautiful thing about the business model that we chose, bro, is that in furniture, the consumer was accustomed to paying basically the order. So me as the merchant, we're getting the money, and we're using that money to then build the product. And it was okay for them to wait. So on our website, it'd be like, built in 8 weeks and then delivered in 4 more weeks, right? So people had an expectation, oh, I'm not gonna get it for 3 months, it's cool.
Yeah.
That allowed us to take all that capital from the consumer, pay everybody, buy materials, and we literally play that kind of game where we're floating capital, and that's helping us with the limited capital we're able to raise. So that business model was great. There's other business models out there where like they're buying inventory ahead of time, and they're stocking it, and then they're delivering it upon sale, right?
Right.
It's very similar, but it's different type. So they both have their pros and cons. When you have limited capital, our model was really helpful. So we were able to use that to just kickstart the business as well.
Awesome. That sounds also a lot more efficient, Ali. That's what it sounds like to me, because I've been, in a previous venture, I tried going that route where like I was stocked up in kind of like the things that I needed to make this product, and I would go, weeks, months sometimes that I wouldn't touch a specific material because nobody was buying it.
Right.
So if I ever go back to that, I'm gonna take that to the bank. Yeah.
Yeah, it could help out. I mean, there is a value, I think, too, in having inventory, right? If there's a product ready to be delivered, I mean, Amazon has ingrained us all like next day, same day delivery now, and it's freaking next hour delivery, right?
Yeah.
So I think the consumer was already starting to, just have those expectations, right? So we ultimately knew this is a start, but we want to shoot towards like delivery within a month or 2 weeks kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we knew that was going to be like down the road.
Right. And not only that, again, the customization aspect, I think people could appreciate that, that set expectation from the get-go is like, okay, like we're literally going to put this together for you. It takes time to actually execute.
Yeah, exactly. And that was actually, I'm glad you bring this up. So, in the experience, right, the customer experience, we are always thinking, what can we do to keep the customer engaged? Yeah. It's a long time from delivery to from order to delivery, right? It's a long time. You got 3 months of waiting there. So we ended up having this kind of like idea of doing build updates. So we would put the customer through the journey of, the first weekend, hey, we've ordered your material. Second weekend, we're doing this. Third week, we're doing upholstery. We framed it,
I like that.
We're going through each stage. So every single week or 2 weeks, they're getting like an update from us. We stay top of mind. And they also know they're like, the order is just not sitting around.
Right.
Right.
Or you're just not sitting there with your hands crossed.
Scientists wondering what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a way we kept people engaged. And, I thought the feedback from the consumer was really good because, they felt like, oh, okay, it's going through this delivery. Oh, it's past quality control. Now it's about to be shipped, and they had like the excitement comes and then boom, they get it delivered, right?
I love that, dude. You took them on the journey.
Yeah. And that was
awesome.
I think it's really important to do. One thing that we really kind of double down on in the entire business is doing like the scale, right? And doing things that make us stand out. So build updates was something that I think made us stand out. Another thing we did that was pretty cool is we would actually handwrite thank you cards to every single order. So we literally print them out and then go pass around the entire office. So you see signatures from all the different employees, right? Whether you're marketing, customer service, doesn't matter where you're at, right? You're signing it and people can tell it's like handwritten.
Yeah.
I remember getting stacks. I'm like, oh, and I'm like, oh man, I got so many things to do. But I'm like, nope, this is extremely important that people, see this. It's going to help just the overall experience. So I'd sign away and spend, 5-10 minutes just signing, and I just really felt that if you do things like that in any business, if you can do the unscalable, if you can stand out, it just helps that customer loyalty and, your overall experience. So you're getting those 5-star, reviews on Google and Yelp, and that's just snowballing into referrals and more repeat business.
Absolutely. So after this, could I have your autograph?
For sure.
All right. Okay, man. So I think there's a lot of really good nuggets in there for maybe small businesses.
Mhm.
You know, I would hope that anyone out there listening, if you started your own small business, first of all, you already took maybe one of the hardest steps, right? Taking that leap into starting something new. But I'm hoping you could take a lot of what he said and, you know, implement it into your business, because it sounds like a lot of the stuff that you're like, especially the unscalable, when you're starting a new venture, like it's the perfect time to start implementing that, because down the line, it gets harder to add these little details.
Right. It gets really hard.
Yeah.
But I think the companies who figure out how to sustain that, oh man, they're really building something special,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, one other thing I'll mention with the consumer side is just being open to like any idea that makes the customer experience that much better. Another thing that just came to mind as you mentioned that was we had developed this like wow package, right? And we had told, you know, our customer service team, our customer success team, like, hey guys, like, as you engage with, you know, a customer on the phone, on chat, on email, and you start getting to know their situation, look out for these opportunities where we can wow them. I remember there's a specific guy, I think his name was Ethan, if I remember correctly. He had called us and he'd been like, hey man, like, we were looking for new furniture. I'm looking for new furniture. I just got a divorce and I just want I wanted everything new, just new reset, restart my space. And, one of our customers service specialists ended up, like we bought like a gift package, right? So we ended up doing like a basket package and wine. And then she hand wrote, hey, sorry to hear about what you're going through. Here's a little something, to help, things move forward. And he received it. We sent it to him. He received it. And I remember him emailing us. He was just like taken back. He was like, I can't believe like a company would do this, so.
The amount of care.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, to me, those are the things that if a company can really do like on a larger scale, you're really setting up now a customer for life, right? And we always thought about like, what's our customer lifetime value? We can't just think transaction. This is not one sale. This is not even a sale. This is a person, right? So we have to connect with them. Yes. Like we would want to be connected too if we were on the other side. So we try to do things like that and really empower people. They wouldn't even have to ask us for permission. We got to a point where like, guys, you guys know what to do. Yeah. Just go ahead and order it. It's part of, our cost. We already know that maybe there's no metric that says specifically, hey, customer wow packages are driving, Right. But we know that there's so much inherent value in it.
If you could get to that deeper level with the customer, like, oh, you struggled. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I mean, we had all these little tidbits and there's a lot of growing pains as well. I mean, this is some of the positive side. I mean, there were times too that were rough.
Maybe we could get into that.
Yeah. I'll mention a couple. I remember when you're playing this customer deposits game, right? When you're floating the money and you have very limited capital you raised, there are times where, maybe your costs go up for a specific quarter, sales aren't as great. And, there were times we had to do layoffs. I remember, I think it was like January 2016, we had just brought in new people like a month before. And it just, the financials weren't great for us. And as quickly as we hired them, we had to like sit down and Alex and I, we never outsourced that part of the business. We always felt like if we're going to bring you on, then I'm also going to be the person to tell you like, hey, it's not working out. Yeah. I'm going to look you in the face, in the eyes and tell you, hey, it's not working out right now. We have to let you go, as hard as it is, right? And we had to do that a couple of times where we had to do like, 5, 6 people kind of lay off at one time. And it sucks because it was like really key roles that we needed for the business, but because of just how business was going and the financial side, we just had to do it, right? So, every business has its ups and downs, but it's just part of the journey. And showing up to work and being positive and just being consistent and being transparent, with your employees through the good and through the bad. I think at the end of the day, they respect that. And they know they're going to battle for someone who's not going to bullshit them around. And they're going to be able to, they're going to be happy. At least they're going to be they'll understand the situation. They might not be happy that things are happening like that, but they're gonna at least be like, okay, we get it. Let's keep going because we have a mission, right? We have a vision behind this company. And that's what we try to, every day, is to just really talk about that vision and make sure people understood, like, hey, this is what we're shooting for. These are things that are going on, but it's okay. Like, we're in this together, kind of thing.
Exactly. What do you say now we go into getting to know you as a person a little more?
Okay.
We like to get deep into this in this podcast, get to know the person behind the success. What was little Andy like?
Yeah, man. Thanks for little Andy, right? Yeah, I mean, I wasn't born here. So I was born in Peru, right? And my parents had they had decent jobs out there. And they decided, hey, we're going to go to the United States. Because they already saw, like, the country wasn't headed towards the best kind of, path. So they ended up literally just coming over here. And I was here at the age of 5, had to learn the language and all that. But assimilating myself into this country when you're little isn't that hard, My dad did tell me that I was complaining for the first kind of like couple of weeks, like, I didn't understand what they're saying, that kind of thing.
Right.
But he said after a couple of weeks, I'm already saying the words in English here, and they're like, oh, he's okay.
Yeah.
My sisters, though, I have 2 older sisters, a little harder for them to assimilate themselves. But we ended up, moving to Downey. And I actually thank my parents for that, because I remember when they came, they told me they had the choice. It's like, hey, Los Angeles, like LA like has cheaper, apartments for it.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a friend who lived in Downey. She's like, hey, look, Downey's more expensive, but it's a nicer city, and I think your kids are going to benefit from it. And middle school is where I met, my friend and ultimate business partner, Alex, right? Okay. So that was a really key connection, because Alex he's like a real entrepreneur, like at heart. Like, that guy is like a bit like, he's the one who reeled me into the entrepreneurial side I never knew I even had, So I'm thankful that, I was able to link up with him, because in the parallel universe, maybe I'm doing something else, right? So, but yeah, went to high school at Warren High School. Go Warren High School, go Bears.
Shout out.
And then I went to Cal State Long Beach. But yeah, I mean, middle class, kind of family, and probably on the lower side of that, to be honest, just because my parents had to really work their way up, right? My first job was as a dishwasher.
Okay.
At a restaurant, and I'm grateful for that, and just started kind of like, moving on to different, jobs and the career choices. I didn't finish college. I ended up dropping out in my 3rd year because I had the entrepreneurial itch already, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out on my own. I still think there's a lot of value in going to school if you want to get a job, but if your calling is something else, then pursue that. Because ultimately, in my opinion, most people don't pursue it because of fear, right? And I'm thankful that early on I was already jumping into like businesses, so I was able to kind of get over the fear before I even hit my 20s, kind of thing.
I think that's definitely a key thing. I know it was for me. I never saw myself kind of going down the entrepreneur path. And what you said right now really resonated with me, because I found my Alex, and he was the one that started to kind of like feed that idea of like, start your own business, or, kind of change career paths or something. Something that he always say is like, dude, if I can do it, and I look like a discounted William Hemsworth, like, bro, like, you can do it. You got the, slightly better looks, a little more charisma. Like, bro, like, what are you doing with your life? And he kind of started feeding that into my head. Hey, we got to be grateful for those people that give us that push, right?
Exactly, man. I remember having some conversations with him where, like, you always appreciate the people who keep it real, right? And won't like tell you what you want to hear, but just tell you the truth, right? And he was really that for me. We'd have these really deep conversations about like what we want in life, and are we gonna go get it, And we'd have it with multiple friends, and someone would be like, yeah, let's go get it, but then they wouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
But a couple of us would be like, we found our own path, but we went ultimately, we're like, you're right, man. Like, hell yeah, let's go, let's get after it. And we'd actually go after it. We would be unafraid to jump in, right, whatever it may be. You know, I remember we started like a real estate business in 2000 before the crash.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, like we were trying to do flipping, but we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
You know, we were just like, we got an office in La Mirada, and we're like, yeah, man, we're real estate investors. Like, all right, what do we do? And we're like, oh, I don't know, but we got an office. And our friends would come over, and we just throw the football around. Like, we're totally immature, not like mentally ready.
Right.
You know, I think one agent came from St. Clarita, and like we sold him, and we're like, we're these investors and all this and that, and he showed up, and he's like, all right, guys, what do you got cooking? And we're like, we really don't know what we're doing. You know? The last time we saw him, you know. And ultimately, like, that was our first foray, and it led to another one, and then it ultimately scaled up to, like, you know, a few years after doing Joybird together. That's a real thing, right? It's like, okay, now this is a big boy, you know, kind of business now. But I think we took a lot of the elements that we learned over time, which is like, hey, let's hire smart people as soon as we can, and they're gonna help us take it to the next level. And really thankful that we were able to do that, because, you know, ultimately we ended up really scaling the business.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so what do you say now we get into the sour story that we get into this podcast? You know, what's been one of those big challenges that you've gone through, whether it can be personal or on the business side?
One story that I have, I think it's sour for a moment, but it turned into sweet. And it really started in 2007. So, you know, we're in this La Mirada office, right? We ended up like completely going away from the real estate thing. And a couple of my partners just left, and another old friend of mine, Mikey, he ended up joining. We ended up doing this like business. We're like, we're gonna do graphic design and print. We're gonna offer print, like business cards, flyers, to all businesses, right? We had this idea of like a Vista print kind of model, right? But we weren't getting much traction. Our friends would still come over and throw the football around, and we'd be distracted. We had one day, I remember, we're sitting in the office, and we're like, hey, we got to get out of here. Like, this is not good. And we're like, all right, let's go. So we ended up getting a U-Haul truck that same day, loading up all our stuff from each of our houses. And I had a property in Arizona that my sister and I had gone in to do a new construction, and we wanted to rent it out. But it was in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, a city called Golden Valley. It's like 15 minutes from Laughlin and like 30, 45 minutes from Kingman. But like, it's very rural. It's like where you have one house and like 500 feet, there's like another house, you know?
That's
like a bunch of dirt roads, right? But I'm like, hey, I got this house that just finished. Let's go there. So we ended up that same night picking up all our things and driving out there. We got there like at 3 a.m. And I remember sitting on top of the U-Haul truck, looking up at the stars, thinking like, oh my God, what are we doing? I actually did this, you know?
Is your revenue stuck? If you're an entrepreneur and your revenue is stuck, you don't need to fix your products or services. You need new audiences to discover you more consistently. Podcast guesting is the ideal way to be discovered 24 hours a day by your ideal clients. And guess what? The more people that know you, the more people can flow you. Head over to podcastmasterypack.com and take advantage of your first or next podcast. Let's go.
The idea was we have completely removed all the distractions. No one's showing up at our house now, right?
Right.
Literally no one's showing up at our house now, right? So we set up shop in the living room. We put our computers together, and we knew that now we had the right environment to be able to focus. I wish I could tell you that instantly revenues went up, but it was quite the opposite, right? We showed up, and we didn't have any local market now. Like, we couldn't go to all the offices around the area because there weren't any. Right. So now we had to figure out how to market ourselves like on the internet, and we didn't know anything about really marketing online. So we're trying things and we're trying to figure out what is this Google Ads thing, right? Trying to understand that, but that takes time, right? It's not like you instantly learn a new platform and something completely new. So we ended up like having some really tough months in 2007. So it was really tough. Like, I remember Thanksgiving and Christmas. For some reason, we decided for New Year's, let's go to Vegas to like get away from everything. And then we went to Vegas, and then we realized we have no money to do anything. So we're like, we're in Vegas, but like instead of it being like a high, like we're like you're pumped up about it, it was like it smacked us in the face. Like we're in Vegas and we can't do like we only have money to come back home. So I remember
can't do nothing.
you can't do anything, right? But it was those months, right? We're still trying to figure out internet marketing, and from December to March, we underwent a complete 180.
You know, when you're starting off, I think a lot of people don't realize there's so many. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, first of all, right? But because you're just starting off, like you're setting up all these systems and processes as you go. You don't have that backing of experience, right? So yeah, let's get into that a little bit. Like how was that? How'd you guys handle that chaos?
So as we're trying to figure out this internet marketing game, because we know we have a business, it's a print business. We got to get people to our website, order from us, right? We're going to charge them markup on the actual product. So if it costs us $40 to do 2,500 business cards, we're going to charge 60, 670, whatever, right? There's a delta, there's a markup there. And then we're going to charge them, they need design. We're going to charge them a fee for designing it, right? So we knew we had to just bring in people to our website. So we're starting to understand Google Ads and keywords and what it does. So we're literally going through videos, Google Ads, all the how-tos, and Google themselves will tell you how the platform works. They want people to use it. They want to make money, right? So we start trying it out, and we start seeing, okay, you bid on a keyword, and then it matches you up with something related. Oh, there's different type of keyword tracking. There's broad, there's phrase, there's exact. We're starting to understand a little bit of the engine, how Google Ads work. But in doing that, we stumble upon something called affiliate marketing. We start seeing that people are driving traffic to websites, and in that website, they basically are driving people to perform an action, right? As a call to action. And when people perform that call to action, which usually leads them to a different website, the third party, the end website, will pay them, an affiliate amount, right? A commission for them to perform an action. So they have to sign up or maybe submit your email, or it could be like a full registration membership kind of thing, right? They're paying dollars. So we're like, this is interesting. And then we decided, okay, let's try this out. So I think I forget which one we started with. It was either like in the dating vertical or the ringtone vertical. Back then, ringtones were like a thing. Okay, this is 2007 and 2008, right? Right, it's a little different now. But we built a website, and I had already known how to do that because, back in high school, I was doing this stuff, and I was nerding out on making websites, right? It was just my thing. So I brought that to the table, and then Alex and I are kind of both learning, the internet, the Google Ads side, and kind of bouncing ideas off each other, and how to measure the traffic, how to understand what they do. And we're just like literally in it and just trying things out. So we decided to test it out, and we get our first commission. We get our first sale basically, right? We're like, oh, wow. We just got paid, $2 for this action. Or if it was, they aren't forgetting exactly which one it was, but maybe it was $20, $40, depending on what we did. And then we started realizing, wait, if I can bring in traffic and it only cost me $5 for them to convert, but the affiliate will pay me $15. Now I'm making $10. Now I just got to scale the traffic, right? So we went from, our print business barely feeding us and, barely making any money to like March 2008, we're like making $10,000 a month in profit from our affiliates. Because we dove in. Like, it wasn't like we were working 8 hours and chilling. We had nothing to do. We were in the middle of nowhere. We were on our computers literally like 16, 17, 18 hours a day. So we were working way more than the average person, right? Lunch is like ramen. You're there, right? Mikey would take a break, you'd cook us some ramen. Like, we're literally like on our computer the whole time. watching like the History channels on TV, just to kind of like have some background,
Ambiance.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it was just such a dramatic change, and we decided, oh, we got to double down here. By like May, our profits were like 15, 20, 25,000. And it went from nothing to that so quickly. Yeah. These affiliate networks are flying us out now to their place of, their headquarters. We went to Colorado, to Denver. They took us to was it the Colorado Rockies game, I think it was, right? They took us to a baseball game out there in the freaking suites, right? Food. We're like, this is
the life.
This is the life, bro. Exactly, right? And they're like, hey, they're doing this because they want you to spend more money on their network, because there's so many networks out there and they all kind of have the same products.
Yeah.
So part of their game is like, let's woo, the affiliates so that we can get them to put all their traffic to us versus, this various different networks or just one on its own. And then another company flew us out to New York, and we met up over there. I remember we went out to the bar. I drank too many. I actually ended up falling.
Oh no.
Like I just got drunk, right? And I just fell. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I got this like scar right here. And it stuck with me forever, right? I got the scar right here because I was also, right? I drank too much, right? So, but it was just like such a dramatic change. And the lesson that I took from it really was like, when something is hot, when there's an opportunity right in front of you, you got to double down on it, because it may not be there forever. The negative, that challenge of having no money in 2007, right? Being down in the dumps, barely having enough to put food on the table, going to Vegas and realizing you can't do anything, and you're driving back, right? It's like that. I think it's like a 4-hour drive back. And I'm just thinking of like how low it is right now for us. Like it's rock bottom. Yeah. We have our health, which we're always grateful for, but in terms of like the evolution of us as men, right, as generating income for ourselves, we had nothing. It's like you really felt it. You felt challenged, but we stuck with it, right? We didn't give up. We didn't say, let's go back home. We're like, no, we got to keep going, and we did, and it was that led up to learning internet marketing, and that ended up being like a staple of my personal career, because I took all my experience in internet marketing, digital marketing, I used it to get a job later and then learn more. And then I used it in my startup, which ultimately had a lot of success.
Yeah.
And I'm using it now, right? Right now, I'm doubling down on my knowledge in internet marketing to be able to bring in leads to my own website. So it's all like connected story. Had I not done that, had we not maybe even moved to Arizona and decided to stay in La Mirada, my life could be completely different. But I think everyone has these opportunities in their life where they have to make a choice, and they can either play it safe or they can just take a giant leap, right? They can decide, I'm gonna take that chance. And I think the people who end up taking the chance are the ones who see either opportunity or success come their way, and the ones who play it safe are the ones who maybe don't.
Yeah. Dang, dude. That's a crazy story. And you touched on a lot of things that, I kind of feel parallel to, to my current, like, entrepreneur journey, right? Like, in the beginning, you mentioned that you guys, your first big month was like 10K, right? Mm-hmm. Profit. How many guys was it?
Just 3 of us.
Just 3. So did you split that 3 ways?
Yeah.
Or did you put some aside for, like, other stuff?
Everything was split in 3s the whole time. We were together at the company.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And we were a company. Like, we had our LLC and everything. We understood that we needed to do things proper back then even. Yeah.
I mean, that almost sounds like it turned into a sweet story, right?
Right.
Which is the next part of that we like to touch on this podcast. If that wasn't the sweet story, what's been like one of the sweetest moments so far in your life that you're like, I'm on top of the world right now?
Yeah.
Like cloud 9.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have probably different sweet stories, right? That we just have growing up. But I mean, by far for me right now, nothing tops just being where I am in terms of having a family, right? Having a loving wife, and amazing kiddos and good health. Like that to me is the ultimate sweet story. But if there's one that I'm going to take to the grave, that I'm going to look back on as one of those moments that I'm super grateful for, it relates back to my startup. So I ended up, contacting everybody I could, and really that's like family, friends, and pitching to them the business. So we managed to, collect between the 4 founders about $300,000, but $100,000 of that came from my parents, right? And when we went to them, or when I went to them, it was basically all their retirement money, right? And we told them the idea, we told them why we felt good about it, and they said, Andy, we believe in you. This is a lot of our retirement, if not most of it or all of it, and we're in with you. We believe in you. And if you want to talk about pressure, bro,
Yeah, that'll do it.
some pressure,
It's like, this is only my parents' retirement money.
Yeah, it's only, right?
Yeah.
But the sweet story that came out of it is, when all was said and done, and we already were in talks about the acquisition side of it, we kind of got figures back, right? We knew what we were going to get, and we knew what our shareholders were going to get. And I remember having a conversation with my parents and basically telling them, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, do you remember that $100,000 you guys gave us? Well, we're selling the company and we're going to get you $600,000 back. And bro, I'll never forget it. And I've told the story. It's hard to even, it's funny because I've told this like a few times, but the emotion's always there, because I think everybody maybe has a dream that they could retire their parents, or they could buy parents a house, right? Like, because they do everything for us, especially being I think the community we're in, being Latinos in that culture, like the parents are there, and it's not like you turn 18 and they're done, like they're with you forever, guiding you, teaching you, and always trying to be there to support you. So for us as men or women to be able to do that for them, like it's hard to top that one, bro. It's really hard to top that one. It's like I'm gonna always remember that moment, and I'm so grateful that I was able to do that for them. Yeah, man.
Oh man, that gives me something to look forward to. Because that's one of the big reasons too why I'm going down this path. At the end of the day, is to take care of my own. I know my parents are getting older. Sure, they might have like some retirement money, but as we all know, like inflation is no joke. And chances are by the time they actually retire, like that amount is not going to be very sustainable. Right. So the fact that you were able to do that, man, like that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's my dream.
I'm so grateful for it. And I think about it, right, when things can get a little challenging, because the challenges of life never go away. I always kind of refer to that as like, hey, you had this moment. There's no reason why there can't be more opportunities like this. It doesn't have to be one and done, right? The circumstances may change. Maybe it's now for not just my parents, but my family, right? Maybe it's for a larger circle. But just to be able to have that opportunity to help others financially is huge. And I think that's, like, we should have that weight on our shoulders. As men or women, there needs to be, I think, a sense of responsibility to providing. Like, especially I think as men, I think we're kind of, for years, thousands of years, right? It's like the man will go out hunt, and then the women would take care of the family household. Things have changed a lot now. You see things in inverse, right? But I think traditionally, right, there is that. So I always believe like that is my role in the family. And I've told Jen many times, like, I am feeling most fulfilled when I'm out there hunting for you guys.
Yeah.
And what that means today is I'm working my ass off to make sure that we have enough for us. And then with that, we can also just give and give back to causes, right? Things that are important to us, help out people. What if someone gets sick? What if a grandma, parent, aunt, uncle, mom, right? Somebody gets sick and they need money and nobody has it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that feeling of like, oh, I can't do anything. I want to put myself in a position where I can say, hey, we can help you out. And putting myself in that position, I think, it's just, I feel like a sense of responsibility to be able to have that option. Whether it comes or not, it's not, in my control. But just to have that option is just so powerful. So I always tell people who are, trying to figure out what to do with their lives, it's like, put yourself in a position that you can help others.
Yeah.
That could be a guiding light for you as you navigate your journey, because it's gonna get hard. And sometimes we need to go to these kind of points or these visions or these kind of motivating factors to give it that extra boom to be like, all right, keep going.
Yeah.
Don't give up now. So that's how I go about my day to day in terms of like motivating myself, because sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. Another guest that we had on, Dakota Bailey. I'm not sure if you're who that is. If not, we'll make the connection later. But he said something that kind of what you just said triggered that memory. He mentioned something of, doesn't matter if you're, dirt poor or a millionaire. He himself is a millionaire. We all have money problems.
Yeah.
They might be at different scales, but essentially we all have some sort of problems when it comes to money. It's just the way it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just a little nugget there that kind of you triggered a little what you said. But the last question, or I guess technically two more questions, but
Yep.
One of the last questions, if you had to choose your current life soundtrack, what song would that be for you?
Yeah, for me, maybe I'm thinking like Breakout by NERD, just because I feel like I'm in a moment of breaking out from my business being like this and taking more of a hockey stick growth.
Mm-hmm.
I got to implement a few key pieces, but I can already see the opportunity in front of me. So if I make the right moves, I can see, us really breaking out from our current trajectory, and I really want to just take advantage of the moment, because I don't know how long things are going to be like this, right? Just like the same moment we had in 2008. I feel like the same energy, the same kind of rhythm right now. So I'm ready to break out and really maximize this chance of being the best real estate investor I can be, and then teaching others as well.
Okay. Last question. Where can people follow your journey online?
Yeah, thank you for asking, bro. Right now, my Instagram it's Andy Hino. I'm working on getting a lot of some content onto YouTube. I got a TikTok that's a little bit of inactive, but message me on IG. I'm way more active. Reach out to me if you have any questions about anything whatsoever. Let me know. I'm happy to provide my value to you. I am a little busy, but I promise I'll get back to you within a couple of days or so. And I'm here to help others in their journey, and whatever information I can shed to you, I'm happy to do so. I'm still learning a lot. I am in no way or shape a veteran of this industry. I've been doing this only full-time for a year and a half now, but I do feel like I can contribute something that maybe you'll take away, and it'll just help you on your trajectory of becoming whatever you're trying to become.
It helps to be more open-minded for sure, I think, right?
You have to be, bro. You have to be, and you have to be willing to suck at something. Like,
the first step to not sucking at something is sucking at it first.
You have to. Like, I'm here right now. This is my first podcast ever.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that I'm not probably, verbalizing things the most perfect way and orating, like Bedrell's Cool-In, Ryan Pinedales, who's done this a billion times, right? It's okay. Like, I'm okay with that, because I know this is my first one. There's going to be a second. There's going to be a third, and I'm sure it's going to get better over time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let that not stop me from coming. Like, I want to be here, right? I want to be able to share my experiences and my, you know, my knowledge with others. And if it means that things are coming out a certain way and it doesn't flow out perfectly, who cares? Because I think someone out there is gonna catch something on and they're gonna use it to their advantage. So I'd rather be here, having this opportunity with you to tell you my story, and I'm less worried about how it comes out. Really focus on like someone out there needs to hear this.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too, man. So that's a little nugget there. But it's been honestly an honor of being here. You know,
Honor's all mine, man. Thank you.
It's great to just be able to have a platform and share this with you and support you and your podcast. And we're working together now, right? You know, you're helping me with the videos. If you guys are looking for an amazing video team, contact my guy Levi.
Thank you.
And his team here. Their vision in the creative aspect of, you know, what they're doing is just, I can tell they're taking it to another level. And I really appreciate that as a business person, because I'm going to benefit from it too. And two, you know, I see yourself wanting more. Like, you're not just like, hey, it's good enough and we're going to keep, no, you're like, hey, I want my vision's greater. I want a better product. I want to rub shoulders and elbows with people like that, bro.
Yeah.
So, you know, I appreciate the love and the hard work you're putting into my content, and I'm excited for the future, bro.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, brother.
We'll keep working together.
Yes, sir.
And everyone out there tuning in today, thank you so much for stopping by, visiting us. We just ask that if you enjoyed today's episode or found some sort of value from it, please consider subscribing.
Let's go.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Good cut.
This has been a Redbird Studio Productions. Hope you've enjoyed the program.